Hello everyone, welcome to Lucknow Meetup group. Uh, Today we are celebrating Mac's birthday. Max is turning 10 and this is a special event for Mac's birthday. So the topic for our event is integrating with Salesforce CDC event. Shyam, next slide please. Uh, so before we start, some safe harbor statement. Both the speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer or presenter do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business requirement. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Some housekeeping. So as we are recording this session, so the recording will be available in the meetup page within 24 hours, and you already have mic access, so I'll request if you have any question, just feel free to ask. We'll try to answer that, although it's a learning session. So uh, maybe if we are not able to answer some of the question, anyone from the attendee can do that, or maybe we can later come up with the answers to you. Once the meetup is done, you will get a feedback email, so we'll request you please fill up that. Let us know what next meetup you want and how we can do more better, what all different stuff you would like to see, and we can work on that. So talking about the next slide, the organizers. So Akub and me, we were the older organizer, and now Shyam joined us with Lucknow group. So welcome Shyam as a co-host for Lucknow group.
Thanks, Abhishek.
And he's also a speaker for today's meetup. So I'll skip Akub's and my introduction. Shyam, over to you. You can start.
Yep. Thanks, Abhishek. And thank you everyone for joining on Saturday. So I'm Sham Kulkarni. Recently, I got an opportunity from MuleSoft to be a meetup leader for Lucknow MuleSoft Meetup Group. I'm a certified MuleSoft developer and architect with over almost 3.5 years of experience. And yep, interested in system design, problem solving, and thinking process. Yeah. So today we are going to look at like CDC events, scenarios where it can be applicable, how we can set up the CDC events, how MuleSoft as an ESB tool can subscribe to the CDC events coming from Salesforce. We'll look at the legacy, what Salesforce supported, like push topics, how we can setting up them, and then we'll look at the demo. So what is a Salesforce CDC, change data capture? So it is a powerful event driven feature that allows you to capture changes to Salesforce records in real time. And with CDC, you can track and respond to changes such as creation of a record, update, deletion, or undeletion of Salesforce records for standard and custom objects. The word undeletion, which I referred over here, so in Salesforce, there is a concept of soft delete and hard delete. So once a record is deleted, it comes under category of soft delete, and once you bring it back from the trash, it will be considered as an undeletion. So this capability, this CDC capability, it is particularly useful for integrating Salesforce with external systems, for keeping the data synchronized between the two different or heterogeneous core systems, and also enabling the real-time analytics. Now, there are some key concepts of Salesforce CDC. One is like change event, which is the basics. What is a change event? So it is a notification generated when a change occurs to a Salesforce record. So for an instance, if an account record is updated, a change event is created to represent this update. And each change event contains the metadata about the change, including the type of operation that record went through. It can be either of create, update, delete, and delete, and the fields that were impacted, and the previous and the new values. Okay. The second concept is change data capture events. So CDC events are a specific type of platform event in Salesforce. They are published automatically by Salesforce whenever a change is made to a tracked object. And these events can be then captured and processed by any of the external systems, or even within the Salesforce itself. The third is like event bus. If you see this message bus or the streaming channel, which external system subscribes to when it wants to receive events from Salesforce. Now, this CDC totally relies on this Salesforce event bus, which is a streaming mechanism that allows events to be published and subscribed to in real time. And the event bus ensures that the CDC events are delivered to subscribers who are listening for them. Another one is replay IDs. This is really useful when we will look at the demo. We'll come to know about replay IDs more. But each change event comes with a replay ID, which uniquely identifies the event in the sequence of all events published by Salesforce. And this replay ID can be used to replay events that were missed, and thus it ensures that no changes are lost even if there are temporary outages due to like network connections or any such outages or interruptions. Okay. How does a Salesforce CDC work? So we can take a scenario. So you can imagine a company, it uses a Salesforce as its CRM and an external data warehouse for reporting purpose. Now this company wants to ensure that any changes made to the account records in Salesforce are immediately reflected in the data warehouse. They want the data to be synchronized. Okay. So the first step would be to enable the CDC events. Okay. So what you will do, you have an account object. You want a trigger whenever something is modified to an account record in Salesforce. You want to trigger an event. So you have to enable the change data capture event corresponding to account entity. Here on this screen, I mean, when I will go through that screen in Salesforce UI, Salesforce actually calls this as entities here on this particular page, not as an object. And the channel or the event bus through which it subscribes, it is a subscription channel. Okay. It is also called a single entity channel if it is specifically for account or contact. Any specific Salesforce object, it will be a single entity channel. We'll come to that part later. But yeah, first we need to enable the CDC on the account object in Salesforce. This will tell the Salesforce to start tracking changes to account records. The second is change event publication. So when an account record is created, updated, deleted, or undeleted in Salesforce, a change event is automatically generated. What does this event includes? I mean, what all details this event has? It has the operation type. Example can be create or update. The fields present on that account Salesforce object that were modified, and the old and the new values of the modified fields. Then the third part comes subscribing to the CDC events. Okay. So external systems or even the Salesforce applications can subscribe to the CDC events. For example, I mean, since we are integrating with MuleSoft, so our Mule application can listen for the account change event to know when an account record has been modified. And then processing the events come the later part. Like once MuleSoft receives the change event, it extracts the relevant information and updates any target system to keep anything in sync with Salesforce. Okay. So now, so message durability. Okay. We can come to this part later. But if you look at this CDC, right? Salesforce change data capture is a part of Salesforce streaming products, and Salesforce streaming capabilities are designed to deliver real-time data and event notifications to external systems or processes. And it ensures that those systems can react to changes as they happen. Okay. And under the streaming architecture, two important point lies like event-driven model and event bus, which are supporting over here. And we have like streaming API and protocols. So this Salesforce streaming API is the key component which is used to subscribe to CDC events, and it supports Comet D, which is a scalable and real-time messaging protocol, and it is based on the BAYX protocol, and this enables low latency delivery of events to consumers. Okay, so let's go back to the demo. So I have already logged in into a demo Salesforce org, okay, CRM Analytics org. It is just that you get more licenses, and you need to go to the setup. Okay, in the quick find box, type the change data capture. Under the integrations tab, you will find this tab. Okay, change data capture. Here, there will be a list of all the standard as well as custom objects you have created in your Salesforce org. How I can enable a particular Salesforce object to be coming under the change data capture. So I just need to select any one of them. Okay, for now, what I'll do, select multiple. Okay, so I'll just select the account and push it over here and then click on save. From this point of time, it becomes, any update happens to the account record, an event would be generated. Okay. So now let's go back to the MuleSoft part. Okay. So in order to save time, I have already created the sample flows. Okay. To make it working. So this first flow will be to subscribing the CDC events corresponding to the standard Salesforce object. Here in our case, it will be account. Okay. So I've already done the connector configuration with, using the basic authentication of Salesforce, username, password, security token, and authorization URL. Here comes the streaming channel or the subscription channel. There are a set of rules how we can name this or populate this particular streaming channel. Okay, if you visit the Salesforce website, subscription channel, whatever Salesforce objects are added over here on the right hand side, selected entities, and the button is saved. All of them, if you want to receive under a part of single listener as part of receiving it on the MuleSoft end, you can directly use this /data/change events. So all the selected entities, if they undergoes any modification, okay, we will be receiving an event corresponding to a single object. Example account, the naming convention would be /data/standard object name, that is account change event without any space. Okay, and if we create any custom object, which I have created, will show you, it will be custom object and there are 2 underscores over here followed by a change event. So that's the naming convention we need to follow for the subscription channel or the streaming channel, from where it will be receiving an event. One more add-on, this is not related directly for us as we are doing a demo from Mule application. There is a useful tool called as streaming monitor. It is present as an asset on the app exchange, Salesforce app exchange. You can download it. If I search for it, it is really helpful for testing purposes, streaming monitor, and all types of events like push topic, generic platform events, CDC, everything you can monitor over here. Okay, so I have already installed it on this demo org. So you can subscribe to all the channels or subscribe to a specific channel. Let's say change data capture and the event will be account change event, and you can like subscribe, replay past events. Okay, here you can like observe the data as well, how it comes, the structure of it and all. So this is a graph mode, but you can convert it to table mode as well to see the events. So really nice tool to have. Uh, okay, let's go back to the demo. So we are clear about streaming channel. Now we'll come back to the replay option. We have 4 replay options, all from last replay ID, from replay ID, only new. What I can do, I can take the scenarios over here. So let's go with the first scenario. If we select the all as a replay option on the replay channel listener, okay. If you observe closely, we have a checkbox over here. Replay failed events, if any, or resume from last replay ID. Okay, so we'll check for both the scenarios. If we select one replay option, if we check it, whether we uncheck it, what is the expected behavior? Okay, we'll check it over here. So let's assume it is checked. So for this, I'll first derive some assumptions. So we can assume a series of incoming events with replay IDs ranging from, let's say, 1 to 20. Okay, we have the replay IDs 1 to 20. Let me quickly extract that. So we have these many replay IDs. Okay, and let's assume from this the replay ID is 2, 7, and let's say 9. Okay, this failed to process successfully. From this, these are the incoming replay IDs. Now, if we select the all as a replay option and the checkbox is checked, the listener will fetch and process all the events from the beginning, that is from replay ID 1, including the failed events as well, this 279, because it is all. And even if the checkbox is unchecked,
Yeah,
the
maybe you
listener.
can enlarge your note, this
Oh,
notes.
is it really small?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me.
No, not like full screen. I was saying. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was on the checked. Yeah. So here, if the checkbox is checked and we have selected the replay option as all, the listener is going to fetch and process all the events from the beginning from replay ID 1 and including the failed events as well. So it will eventually process 1 to 20. Okay. And after processing this, it will start continuing with any new events beyond the last processed event. So last processed would be 20, right? So 21st, it will be starting, I mean, would proceed to execute. If the checkbox is unchecked, even in this scenario as well, the listener will start processing all the events from 1, regardless of any processing state. Okay, all the events from 1 to 20 here will be processed. Okay, and we actually, in real time scenarios, we actually don't use this option. We'll come to the option which is recommended as well. Okay, the second option is from last replay ID. Okay, so let's consider the checked scenario. Now in this case, the listener will replay failed events first. That is 2, 7, and 9 will be processed first. Okay, and then it resumes from the last successfully processed replay ID, which is being stored in the object store. And how they are stored, I mean, it uses a persistent mechanism. It is a non-volatile memory where it stores that. And that's how, even in case of fatal crashes or application redeployment, or if it is restarted, it is able to keep a track of what it last processed. Okay, because of this persistent object store. So yeah, in this case, 279 are executed first. I mean, the failures are executed first because we have checked the checkbox as it mentions about replaying the failed events, right? Where is that? Not here. Yep, this one. And then it will be resuming from the last successfully processed replay ID. So we can, I mean, it if the last successfully processed ID was, let's say, 17, okay, so it will start processing from 18 onwards. That's how. Now let's consider for unchecked with from last replay ID option. So the listener starts from the last processed replay ID. Example, let's say 15 was the last processed ID stored in the object store, regardless of whether any events failed. Okay, since the checkbox is unchecked now. And if there were no failed events, it simply resumes from replay ID 16. Okay, that's the thing. Now from replay ID, it is like statically adding the replay ID. You want to start your process from a specific replay ID onwards, then you can start from there. But even here, 279 will be processed first is in case of checked, if the checkbox is checked. Okay, 279 first followed by that particular replay ID. So if you statically entered the replay ID as 19 over here, it will be starting from the 20th replay ID. Okay, in case of unchecked. And in case of yeah, only new, so the if it is checked, okay, the listener ignores all the past events and it start processing only new events that occur after the application restarts. So this failed events, right, 279 will not be retried because it is only checking for the new CDC events. Okay, and in case of unchecked as well, similar to the checked state, the listener will process only new events that occur after the application start, and no past events will be replayed. Okay, so what is the best practice recommendation among all these replay options? So this replay option from last replay ID with the checkbox checked. This is generally recommended as it ensures failed events are reprocessed and the application resumes processing from where it left off. So this minimizes the data loss and ensures no critical events are missed. Okay. So I hope it is somewhat clear because eventually it will you will get to know more clearly once you do the POC and understand the behavior, how the data is being stored, how I am receiving the events one after the another. So by doing the POC only we will get it clear. Okay. Since I put this flow, okay, let me put this flow on the stop state. Abhishek, I was audible properly, right, during this time?
Yeah, everything is fine.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, let me just resume this flow. And we'll take one such example, okay? Like only, let's say, from last replay ID, okay? With unchecked. And let's proceed. So it is a simple flow, okay? Replay channel listener. We configured the streaming channel, a replay option, and nothing else. Checkbox is unchecked. Okay, I'm just converting because Salesforce returns the data in application/Java format. I'm converting to JSON and then logging the payload. This scenario, I'll talk about it later. I wanted to deliberately fail something in order to test out that replay failed events checkbox. Okay, we'll come to that part later. I'll first run this. Any questions, pointers you want to add? Anybody?
There is a question from R. He's asking what's the difference between replay channel listener and subscribe channel listener.
In case of subscribe channel listener, you are basically subscribing to the platform events triggered by an Apex or by the Salesforce flow, record triggered flows or anything like that. Okay. In the real time, if the flow satisfies all the conditions and the platform event is triggered, MuleSoft receives it. In case of downtime at the MuleSoft level, the event which is generated at the platform event will be lost and you won't be able to subscribe it. It is real time. Whereas in case of replay channel listener, you have the option for replaying it from the last replay ID from where I left. Okay. So that's the advantage. Even I can show you if I drag and drop that listener, you won't, I mean, you will notice that there is no replay in subscribe channel listener. I hope that answers. Okay. So I'll just create an event. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just modify any account details. Okay. So it can be the name. Let's say SK and save it. As soon as I saved it, okay, see, I received an event. It is really quick. If let's observe the payload, okay, the key value pairs that we receive as part of the response. We have a data as the root key. Okay, inside that we have a schema. Inside the payload, we receive the fields that underwent the modifications. So it is evident last modified date should have been modified because we modified the name field, right? So eventually this got modified and we modified the account name. So we received these two fields and these are the change event headers like commit number, commit user, entity name, the Salesforce object which we are operating on, what we exactly performed. We performed an update, an array of changed fields, okay, and the records array, and this is the replay ID, okay, and this is the channel which we have subscribed to, okay. So this is how we receive from last replay ID, okay. So 602 is the last replay ID, okay. Let me execute. For that I need to switch the logic, okay. I want to deliberately fail the incoming record now. So the next record or the next replay ID will be more than this only. So I'll just play around this number. Let's give like 603 or 604, okay. Just so that this processing of event undergoes the failure in order to check that functionality. Okay, I'll run it once again. If you closely observe the logs, right, after it gets deployed, you can steps it undergoes. So connection has been obtained, the hashing and session ID they have logged. Okay. See, it is evident from here. Starting from last known replay ID, it is first checking the object store. Okay. And the last known received replay ID was found in the object store because it is persistent in nature. You might have an answer I mean, you might have a question that, oh, Sham, you have stopped the application now, redeployed it once again, right? Why it didn't deleted the object store data? Okay, because it is stored in my, let's say, SSD or yeah, SSD permanent storage. Okay, not in the RAM. And even if it was stored in my permanent storage, right? During my run configurations, if you see, there is an option called clear application data. It is always set to never. So it won't be deleting that data from the object store, okay, while running locally on my machine. So last known received from, last known received a reply ID found in object store, and it will start with the reply ID 602, because the last one it processed was 602 only. So the next will be 603. Okay. Start reply ID from source config 60T. So indirectly, implicitly, it is considering this field to be populated with 602. Okay. So that it starts from 603. And then it subscribed to that streaming channel. Handshake was also true. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Now I'll trigger an event. Okay. I can trigger the same event. 1, 2, 3 on the same record. So see, I'm deliberately failing this to see the error scenario. Okay. We received the event, but yeah, this was failed. Why this is considered as a failure? You see this line, right? Faint line, it is going to this. So the listener is not considering it as a successful thing. Okay, because of this line. So now I'll again re-trigger another one. Okay. Another record. Let's say this one. And then save it. See, Abbott one, yeah, this got triggered and it was failed as well with the reply ID 604. Here, now two reply IDs are failure 603 and 604. I will stop the application now, okay, and redeploy this project. So the behavior that we noticed in the notes, right, while we were discussing about it, let's notice whether that behavior really works into action or not. After deployment, what our step would be, I will be creating another event. But let's see, immediately after the deployment, does it picks up the failure records, which should be expected. Okay. 603 and 604. Let's see. Okay. It didn't pick. Any reasons why? Anybody?
Because you have unchecked that replay option.
Perfect. Yeah, that's right. That is the reason. Okay. So I'll again stop and show with checked. And meanwhile, this is running. I'll show you the location of the object store. Okay. In my laptop, let's say. So I'll go to the Finder. The location where this Anypoint Studio is downloaded. Okay. So my applications. Yeah. Sorry, Anypoint Studio is installed, not downloaded. Okay. Show package contents. Okay. I'll go to plugins. And inside this plugin, I need to search for org mule tooling server. EE version, enterprise edition. Yep, this one 7.16 is my studio version. Inside Mule, you will be finding this .mule folder. Okay, it might be hidden on your system, but you need to check it. And inside this .mule, you can check for our project CDC event POC. Here you can see the object store values. Okay, So this alphanumeric characters like partition descriptor. Okay, if I see what values it contains, so it should, okay, default partition that it creates. Okay, it started running, and see, immediately after the application was deployed, and since the checkbox was checked with from last replay ID option being selected, it first fetched the failure ones like 594. Before this meetup I was actually triaging, so 594 was another failure. 604, which we just recently deliberately made it failed, and okay, 593 as well. 603, yeah, see this one. So we received all the failure ones. Okay, so that's the nature of this replay option along with this checkbox. Okay, how it works. Similarly, for subscribing to the custom Salesforce object, okay, we need to have a separate flow because the streaming channel is different if we are subscribing to only one custom object, right? So the streaming channel name in this suffix, right, event underscore underscore change event. Here event is my custom object. I recently created this event custom object, this one. This is how it looks like if I click on new. Yeah, event name, location, event date, and status. That's it. Even for receiving this, we need to have this flow. I can show you quickly. I'll stop this flow. And run this. So meanwhile this is running, I just wanted to take one example scenario, okay, related to this slide. We had message durability, right? So Salesforce, I mean, streaming APIs, we have like two things: first generation, second generation. You can call it second generation as current, and this is as legacy. It contains change data capture and platform events, and the amount of time, I mean, this is the retention period until which the events will be stored. Okay. And for push topics and generic events, it is 24 hours. So we can imagine our Mule application. It is responsible for synchronizing Salesforce data with an external system. Okay. Let's assume day one. Okay. Application is running smoothly and the processing CDC events are occurring properly. Day two, application, our Mule application experiences a 48-hour outage. Okay. 2 days outage. Let's say due to server maintenance. Okay. Cloud up went down. So we were currently on day two when we encountered a 48-hour outage. So let's go to the day four now. The application is back online and it uses the replay ID of the last successfully processed event to request the missed events from the Salesforce. And we have the capability of replay within the 72 hours, right? So since the missed events are still within that 72-hour retention window, Salesforce can actually replay all the events that occurred during the downtime. Beyond the 72 hours, if it happens, right, then the events would be lost and it couldn't be replayed. So that's the advantage here. Okay, let's see if it is deployed. It might be that my another event is working. Okay, if you see closely, okay, I'll stop somewhere. It is saying an unknown error. Okay, an unknown error was occurred. Let me copy this. Okay, the channel specified is not valid. It is saying this error. Okay, why this error? So let's go to the change data capture event in our setup. Okay, here you can see in the selected entities that event custom object is not added. So let's add it to resolve that error. I'll add it and save it. Let's observe the behavior if it is able to successfully establish the connection. Or let me restart. That's the only way. Yeah, meanwhile this runs, we can check that object store. So this was the default partition. Second was, this is the default persistent object store, which it is making a copy of it. And the third one here, this actually contains the actual data. So if I open here, we should be able to see the value. Okay, account name updates. This is another topic. Okay. Yeah, so this continuously keeps on changing. So that's why this is not appearing now. But yeah, that is the place where it stores the data. Okay. I'll quickly move on to the published topic. Okay. There is a slight difference between this CDC events and the push topic. Okay. So in case of push topics, you actually define a SOQL query. Okay. And that SOQL query, whatever fields you define inside it, and let's say on that particular Salesforce record corresponding to a Salesforce object, it undergoes some modification. Only those fields will be extracted. So, okay, what I mean by that is, first we need to publish a topic to Salesforce. I'm giving a default name, let's say any name we can give. Let's say account name updates. SOQL query, select ID comma name from account. Now Salesforce will only look for modifications corresponding to ID and name fields. Okay, any other field, if it undergoes any modification, it won't be checking for that. If the name only goes, then only it will be checking for that. Okay, I'll show you quickly. So the procedure is like two steps we need to follow. First is to publish the topic to Salesforce. Once it is published, we can then use a replay topic listener, not the replay channel as we used to do earlier. This will be replay topic listener. Okay. Similar capabilities here as well. You will be noticing where they differ. I mean, definitely the approach that we are taking, they differ in that approach, and the payload that we receive, right? It is completely different how we receive it. Okay. So account name updates. I'll just update an account. And its name. Let's see. Even our persistent queues, right? If we are doing here, the same data, it gets stored in this location itself, corresponding to an application. Here you can see, right? QTX log queue, and there is a temp folder as well. And the deployment properties reside over here. If this is deleted, the data is lost. And even those failures, right? once we check that checkbox, that still won't be appearing. Yeah, here you can see the payload, how it is working. Let me clear the console and re-trigger so that it gets clear. Save it. See, it is only fetching me ID and the name, the fields which underwent modification. Or, okay, to reframe this, the fields which underwent modification as part of the SOQL query. Okay, whatever we wrote as part of the topic. ID and the name only. I haven't tried this, but let's see the behavior. If I change, let's say, ticker symbol, okay. Any other field apart from whatever is defined as part of SOQL query. If I change, save it. Do we receive a update? No, we didn't receive. Let me change the name now again to just concrete the understanding. Okay, let's see. See, we received an event. So the fields present over here as part of SOQL query, they only be looked for. Nothing else will be looked. And even this is really helpful. I mean, we are not receiving that trash directly. We are just receiving what is essential for us. As in this case, we received multiple metadata, right? So few fields might be important to us, but yeah, few fields doesn't make any sense while we are processing. So yeah, depending on our use case, we can actually go through it. So that is it. At the last, I wanted to cover this in the middle itself, but yeah, I missed out. So what are the scenarios or the problem statements which caters to using Salesforce CDC? Okay, so a company which uses the Salesforce as their CRM and external ERP system to manage inventory and order fulfillment. Whenever a sales order is created, it needs to be reflected in ERP system. So in such cases, we can use Salesforce CDC directly. Another scenario can be related to data warehousing. Okay, to make the informed business decisions. Okay, on the basis of these three objects: account, contact, and opportunity. Still, CDC comes into picture. Customer notifications, customer experience needs to be enhanced, right? If we buy something from any e-commerce website, we always expect the website to give us a status as, right, where is my order exactly. So that's where the CDC comes into picture. Once you receive the event, you can do anything from MuleSoft. So that's the thing. But this CDC as a technology, this enables us to do these scenarios. Real-time fraud detection as well. If any fraudulent activities are encountered, right, those transactions need to be flagged and investigated immediately. Again, CDC. Inventory management, as we saw earlier, right? Stock levels are changing and it needs to be updated in the target system. Again, CDC. Compliance monitoring in healthcare departments, they need to update their patient data, right? Due to the compliance issue, if there are any delays, that may cause some problems. So CDC here as well. Real-time employee onboarding, and we have like partner portal integration as well, which caters to CDC. So that's all about CDC and yeah, its ecosystem. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah. So this all things already Shyam has described. Good. Yeah. So do you have any more questions?